thought was coming. Or you can have somebody following a candidate around with a camcorder, recording their every move, and they can be, and everything they say and every little thing they say can be potentially taken out of context, or anytime they slip up, that's it, they're done. Candidates are losing control of their message. This is what the media interpreted these videos to mean. But I'm here to tell you that that's actually not the case. Because if you think about what YouTube is and what YouTube allows everyone to do, candidates and individuals unconnected to campaigns, if you think about going back to the 1980s or the 1990s and telling political candidates, one day in the future, you will have something like your own television channel. You can put as much stuff on there as you want. You can have complete control over the content. You can make the content very cheaply. You can upload the content for essentially nothing. It can be seen by everybody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it won't cost anybody anything to access it either. And it will be your own channel of communication with the electorate and with the people you're trying to convince to vote for you. Now, no candidate would have turned that down, but I think it's become a little bit topsy-turvy because the people who have been making the most effective use of YouTube and the most effective use of these videos are, in fact, people unconnected to the campaigns. The campaign, whoa, hello. Am I doing something wrong? I think it's that mic. The people who are unconnected to the campaigns. But candidates could potentially have as much control over they want. If somebody makes a negative YouTube video about you, like this one here, George Allen could have created his own YouTube video and made it as a response. He could have gotten that kind of attention. If there were people that created anti-1984 videos that showed Obama as the person on the big screen, and the person who was blowing it up was a Hillary Clinton supporter. So, candidates have, if they want to, a lot more control over the message than ever before. The difference is, and the challenge for candidates is, so does everybody else. So does everybody else who has any kind of political ideology or no political ideology who can impact the political process. Because what YouTube does is, makes the playing field not completely level, but a lot more level in terms of allowing anybody who has something to say to broadcast. YouTube's motto is broadcast yourself, so they can broadcast themselves in this new medium. That is where we stand today. And so given this, though, what I'm telling you is the candidates aren't really doing that good of a job at using YouTube in their campaigns. And by the way, when I say YouTube, I'm really referring to all internet videos that can be shared easily, because YouTube videos, you can just, you email somebody a link. I'm sure most of you have done this. And your friend, a link of somebody falling on the stairs skateboarding, and then it ends up that it's called virally spreading because it spreads like a human virus. But candidates aren't really doing a very good job of this. So the first big section of the speech is going to be, what are candidates doing on YouTube? And I've come up with a handy graphic to illustrate this. I hope it works. I'm going to give you guys an overview of this graphic, and then I'm going to go through all the different sections of it, so hopefully by the end it should make sense. Did I finish my thought on why I say YouTube? I don't think I did. Did I finish that thought? YouTube is about like 60% of, I think, or it's the biggest online video sharing site. It's the site that is synonymous with online video sharing, but there's a lot more sites like Dailymotion, Rever, and a lot of other sites too. But when you talk about the impact on the culture, it's usually YouTube, because if there is something on the internet and there is a video out there, it's usually going to be on YouTube, and YouTube is the thing most people associate with online video. So that's why I say YouTube. So you can think about a triangle divided into 4 different... Can everybody see this okay?
Yes.
Okay, that's a 3, that's a 4. At the bottom of this triangle, this triangle represents the new ways that candidates are using YouTube, or what is different about what the candidates are doing on YouTube. At the bottom of the triangle is, because it's the biggest space, is the bulk of what presidential candidates are doing on YouTube. The majority of their YouTube content is going to be in these lower sections here. But as we move up the triangle, the content becomes more unique, or more, using YouTube's unique attributes. That might not make a lot of sense, but I think when I give the examples, it will. So the other thing to say before I go on with this is, it's not necessarily that this stuff is the best stuff because it's making the most use of YouTube. It's not to say that this stuff is the most popular stuff. I mean, I'm sure that some of you will recognize videos from this lower quadrant that are very popular, but it's not necessarily. But what I'm talking about is what is different about YouTube. How has YouTube changed the way that politicians communicate, or the kind of content that they're able to put out. So up here is the most YouTube-esque kind of stuff, and down here is the most boring stuff. And so instead of just keep talking about this very vaguely, I'll give you some examples. This bottom one here I call, I'll write it down I suppose, recycled. This is recycled content. And if you go to a candidate's YouTube channel, and how many of you have been to like a presidential candidate's YouTube channel, like youtube.com/Barack Obama? Okay, about 30, 20 of you, I suppose. Or John, all of them have YouTube channels. Many of them are defunct because they've, of course, dropped out of the race. But if you go to a candidate's YouTube channel, on average, this is the bulk of what you will see them using YouTube to do. And that means that they are taking clips from cable news shows, their interviews on CNN, interviews with their surrogates on CNN, or they're taking clips that somebody just films one of their speeches, and unedited, they put a clip of it on the YouTube. And I would show you some examples of this, but I really don't have to, because anybody who's ever watched a cable news show knows exactly what that looks like, and all the video is literally just a replication of that somebody TiVoed or something, made it into a digital file, and then uploaded it to YouTube. There is nothing really unique about this, as I've said, because it's very easy for candidates to do this. They don't have to create anything new, but it's also the most boring way to use YouTube because it's just telling people what they've already seen in other formats. I guess that's my personal opinion. It's the most boring way. You can get interesting news. I remember some stuff with Ann Coulter and John Edwards. Do you guys remember that? When Ann Coulter was insulting John Edwards and they went back and forth. Some of that kind of news footage ended up on YouTube, and I think that was widely trafficked around. Other news interviews, if somebody says something controversial, can be spread around, which proves my point that YouTube content in this domain is unique in one aspect. It can be very easily distributed. If I watch something on CNN right now at whatever it is, 10:30, and then I call up my friend and say, did you see that thing on CNN? He says, no, but now because we have YouTube, because we can upload these things to the internet, not necessarily completely legally, but all the campaigns seem to ignore this, I can watch it later. If it's an interesting clip, it'll probably be on YouTube. All the presidential debates, whether or not the networks want them to be on there, are on, or most of them are on YouTube, or at least the interesting moments. So YouTube is having an impact in the domain of what the news is already producing, in terms of giving it longevity, and in terms of giving it the ability to spread around and be distributed more. So that's the first example. So now we're going to come to more fun stuff. And actually, before I write it down, I'm going to, I have the mouse in my hand here. I'm going to show you the next example of, okay, so this is quadrant number 2. And if you haven't seen this, you haven't lived yet, so now you will.
An important policy message from Governor Mike Huckabee. My plan to secure the border, 2 words, Chuck Norris. Mike Huckabee's a lifelong hunter who'll protect our Second Amendment rights. There's no chin behind Chuck Norris's beard, only another fist. Put the IRS out of business. When Chuck Norris does a push-up, he isn't lifting himself up. He's pushing the earth down. Mike's a principled, authentic conservative. Chuck Norris doesn't endorse. He tells America how it's going to be. I'm Mike Huckabee, and I approve this message. So did Chuck. Chuck Norris approved.